is CNN Breaking News.
A night at the movies turns into a day of tragedy and grief. I'm Suzanne Malveaux. We are waiting for a police news conference about this massacre that happened at a Colorado movie theater. In the meantime, we are learning more about the shooting suspect, James Holmes. He was a PhD candidate in neurosciences at the University of Colorado. He was in the process of withdrawing, we are hearing. This is the very latest on how the shooting unfolded. Cell phone video captured this chaos after the gunman burst into the theater in Aurora, Colorado, and opened fire. At least 12 people were killed, 38 others wounded. Now, this theater, it was packed with people attending the premiere of the new Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, when the gunman started this rampage. Now, police have arrested a suspect in the parking lot, and authorities, they are still trying to piece together just how this all unfolded. I want to bring in our Ed Lemondero. He is outside the theater. You have been talking to a lot of people who were actually in that room, who saw the gunmen, who heard the explosions. What have you learned?
Well, Suzanne, right now we're waiting just to kind of give you an update. We're waiting on a briefing from law enforcement officials here in Aurora, Colorado. We're several hundred yards away from the movie theater. We anticipate that will happen here at some point shortly. But we were talking earlier with one of the witnesses, this gentleman, Chris Ramos, who was inside the movie theater. And we got cut a little bit short, but Chris's explanation of everything that transpired here last night is so poignant. I thought it'd be good to bring him back, and we were cut short. But let me just take back for viewers who weren't watching a little while ago. You're in the middle of the theater, basically. You came with your sister.
My two best friends, yes.
And then all of a sudden we're just a short ways into the movie, and what do you see?
On the front right emergency exit, a door opens, and then from there something is thrown up in the air, and honestly we thought it was part of the movie. But it turns out it was actually tear gas. It explodes and then it starts going up towards the air.
And this is just a couple rows in front of you?
This is just a couple of rows in front of me, 3 or 4 rows down and everything. The impact of it was definitely very, very strong. He threw one from like 3 rows in front, and he threw one like way out in the back. People from there just started standing up, and then we hear like fireworks sounds, like bam, bam. And then that's when everything gets crazy. It goes rapid, like bam, 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 bam. The guy right next to me actually gets shot. And I hear like the noise of it, like a splash noise, and he just jerks, and it just happens fast. And then I just took down with my sister. And
how old is your sister?
17.
17, yeah.
17, and I brought her there just so she could have a good time, to enjoy a movie. And it turned into something completely straight out of a horror film, at best.
And were you able to get a look at him?
I was not able to get a good look at him. From where I was at, I only saw his figure. It was complete black. That's all I ever saw.
You thought he was wearing a mask?
Like a gas mask, yes. He had to. But the fact that the tear gas was everywhere, it was like completely filled, like in the building.
Was he saying anything?
He was not saying anything at all. He was just quiet, and he was literally just shooting everyone like it was like hunting season or something. People were standing around. He wasn't aiming for a specific person. He was aiming for as much people as he could.
And then it just stopped.
It stopped after like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. It felt like it was so much longer, but it was not.
And what did he do then? Did anybody try to go after him or anything?
That's the thing. No, everyone was running in that chaos and everything. And he just casually just walks up away from the screen like nothing happened. And honestly, that's the part that really got me. The fact that a man can really just walk casually like nothing happened, knowing that he just shot a whole bunch of people. Right then, when it stops, I get up and I try grabbing my sister. We try getting out of there. There's bodies down on the floor, on the chairs. We see like blood everywhere, and there's people that are shot and trying to get out.
Sorry to interrupt. The man next to you, do you know what kind of condition he's in?
I do not. I talked to the daughters of the guy that was sitting right next to me. They said that they tried waking him. They were like calling him, like saying, "Dad, Dad," like trying to make him respond, but he was not responding. Oh. And then, like, I see them out like 20 minutes later in the parking lot, and their dad wasn't with them, like at all. And they were saying like he was still inside.
And how young were those girls?
18 and 19.
Teenagers.
Teenagers. They're teenagers. And it looked like they were like on their phone talking to their mom, and They were just crying. Their dad was like in there, and that wasn't the only one. There's more people in there looking for people, and I saw this girl who was crying because her boyfriend was still in the theater. In there, she was crying, calling him, and he was not answering.
Was everybody just rushing to get out at the same time?
So many people were rushing. People were like trampling over everyone. Like people were like running on top of me. They were like running over the bodies that were down on the ground. Everyone, their number one instinct was just trying to survive, and I can't really blame them because I wasn't thinking anything else but getting out of there. I forgot about my two best friends, and I was just trying to get my sister out because that's the only person I could think of.
As you're trying to leave the theater, do you think the gunman was still in that theater?
He was probably still in there because I never saw him going out or leaving. Like I said before, right when the shot stopped, he just started walking away from the screen, not towards the right side of the exit where you can enter and exit, like the right side and the left side. It looked like he was just walking straight. And from there, right when we left, we didn't see him. He was not in the lobby or anything like that.
Do you think he had any help getting into the theater? Did you see anything suspicious in the moment right before that?
This is the thing. Honestly, I just saw the door opening. Also, it was a door opening right there, and I didn't see anyone helping him at all. And I'm pretty sure if someone did, someone would have screamed or we would have heard something. But honestly, it just looked like he just opened the door. Just opened it. That's all it looked like he did. Definitely did not look like there was any help from anyone else. Like I said, I know for a fact that there's only one person there shooting. I was sticking my head out trying to see, and I saw the guy just shooting. It was just one guy.
Do you think many of the people who were shot and wounded or killed there, were those people in the area closest to you, or was it spread out throughout the theater?
That's the thing. It was spread out equally. I know there's probably people that were shot in the front, but also too, my friend AJ Boyk, he actually got shot, and he was in the front rows right where the handicaps were at. And then there was the guy that was right next to me that got shot. He was we were 3 or 4 or 5 rows up from the middle but below. And he was aiming everywhere. There was not a specific spot he was aiming at. He was not aiming for a certain person. He was literally aiming for everyone, and he was trying to kill everyone as much as he could.
And when you got outside of the theater, you spilled out into the parking lot, right?
Yes.
And you were telling me that you were helping somebody out there who was wounded?
Yes, the guy who got shot in his leg was calling for help and everything. We helped him out. I grabbed my sister's belt. We wrapped it around the top of his room, trying to stop the blood flow and everything. Then we picked him up, dragged him all the way out right there to the parking lot right where the cops were at. And he was just trying to call his wife and everything. And the sad part is, with this evil, this death, it had no bound. It had no shame. It did not care about age. It did not care about sex. It didn't care about anything. Little girls were shot. Little boys were shot. Elderly people were shot. Teenagers were shot. People that were still in high school, they were shot. He did not care. Death did not care at all about age, sex, or anything. It was all a massacre.
Well, I know it's an emotional moment for you. I appreciate you sharing. Do you think, you were telling me a second, we were talking earlier, you don't see how you get over this?
It's a hard thing to get over, but it's definitely not impossible. And I can't change what happened at all, but the only thing I can change is what's happening now. And I know 12 to 14 people, or I don't know that exact number, they passed away. Their lives been taken away. And the fact that a guy that was right next to me that got shot, I don't know how he is, but the fact that it missed me, I'm thankful that I have a second life, and I definitely don't want to take this for granted. But I know there's evil in this world. I'm not naive about that. There's evil in this world, but then there's good. And the one thing that I do want people to know, the main message I want to get across, is not to forget that. To remember the good times of life, the beautiful things. Don't just remember the horrible things about life, because life can be a beautiful thing. We just have to be strong and overcome the evil ofness. Like the movie of Batman, the true message of it. Standing up against corruption, against evil, against death, standing up. A normal citizen just standing up to what's right. It's ironic that happened, but that's basically the message that the Batman movies give out, is standing up for something that's right. And even though the times get hard, the darkness is always darkest before the dawn. The second movie, that's what it said. And it's exactly like this.
Well, I hope that good attitude helps you get through this. I know this is difficult, thank you for very poignant, and thank you for sharing that with us, Suzanne. I mean, that's as powerful as it gets, and I'll just leave it there and let viewers kind of soak all of that in as best they can right now.
Yeah,
Suzanne?
we appreciate Chris so much, just for his emotion, for his insight, and he is a survivor of something that is so tragic, and he has learned, he is taking away a life lesson, I think, that we can all share, we can all take away. Thank you, Ed, I really appreciate it, and please thank Chris as well. As you can imagine, there are 911 calls that they started to pour in after this gunman opened fire. It was certainly a frantic time for the police as well. And I want to play for you this dispatch calls from officers as they try to rush in and to help some of these victims.
Theater is secure. We're bringing out bodies now. Get someone to the back as soon as you can. Rescue personnel. I got at least 3 to 7 hits. Cruiser 10. I need a medical crew at 9. I've got 1 victim eviscerated. I need somebody to shut this movie off. Have them shut the movie off at 9. Do I have permission to start taking some of these victims via car? I got a whole bunch of people shot out here. No rescue. Yes, load them up. Get them in cars. Get them out of here.
We're going to have more details about some of the things that were found in the apartment of the suspect, James Holmes, as well as some of the details about what took place in that theater. Up next.
Well, after all the shooting was done, I looked up for a brief second. I saw he was reloading and walking towards the back of the theater, and it arches up. And just saw he was walking back there, and I grabbed my girlfriend and my friend. I was like, we got to get going because he's reloading now. It's our chance. And leaving, I saw a guy just laying on the floor. He's covered in blood. And a lot of people ran to help him when the guy was reloading his weapon. So we just left, and a bunch of people left at that time. It was crazy.